Thank you, Val. Thanks for having me in your program.
You're very welcome. 2 months ago,
Yeah.
you became one of the most popular people in Sierra Leone. You were put forward by the All People's Congress Party as its presidential flag bearer for the 2018 elections. You
Yeah.
are the man they want to be president of the Republic of Sierra Leone. But then it took you about 2 months to come out to the people, to the nation, to make an address. To many, they were of the thinking that you were to make an address to the nation, almost like a president yourself. But it took 2 months to do that. What took you so long?
Perhaps it took me 2 months to come to the media, your type of program, to talk to the people of this country. I've been talking to the people of Sierra Leone in several other areas. I've addressed the students at University of Makeni, just coming from a very, very fulfilling provincial tour, political tour, where the president, Dr. Earnest Koroma, said goodbye to his people. At the same time, he thanked them for having heard him for 10 years, and then introducing me as the flag bearer of the party, and obviously his replacement. And I made statements in each and every one of those events. I spoke in Potloko, I spoke in Cambia, I also spoke in Makeni. Prior to that, I was hosted by a group that is trying to promote governance in this country, promoting the status of the APC at the Hill Valley Hotel. And I also, in my own way, also address students, high school students at the Miata. Now, this is the second time I'm addressing or talking to the people of Sierra Leone through the media, your type of program. But I think the bottom line is that the APC is an institution. It has structures. When you speak for and on behalf of the APC. So you must be properly prepared by the APC so that when you speak, everybody knows it is the APC that is speaking.
Are you talking about in your present position?
Yes.
Now that you have not become president?
Position now, yes, because I am a presidential candidate for the party. Others, perhaps, when they speak as individuals because they own the party. It's a one-man type of institution. But this is an established institution, the All People's Congress. It took us a number of weeks to prepare, to set up the institutions, the committees that matter to promote the APC campaign.
Dr. Samura, Kamara, some people may say, and I may want to say, you have been given the flag already. All you have to do is to run with it.
No, you have to prepare. You're speaking for and on behalf of the party. You have to prepare APC manifesto. You are the voice of the party as soon as you are given the flag bearership. But that does not mean you can just go out and just begin to speak just like that. You have to consult with your colleagues, the institutional structures within the All People's Congress Party. You discuss with the president. After all, as I said, it's an enviable institution. So you must carry that integrity with you. Now that I've considered the time is right, I can now come out, and I think I'm fully prepared now. I have the authority of the party to start speaking for on their behalf. You
were one of 28 people.
Yes.
Envying that big seat, the big position that you now have, flag bearer and the president in potency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you actually apply like the others? There have been thoughts that you manifested no interest and your appointment came from the blue.
Well, everybody had their own opinion, but what I must say is that, yes, I was one of 28 candidates that competed for this position. We all did it in different ways. Some of us stayed quiet, others were more overt. But at the end of the day, by divine intervention, Samura Kamara was chosen. Through President Koroma, in consultation with the party stalwarts. So I am humbled by that. I'm honored and I'm privileged to serve the party, but more particularly, so beyond that, to serve the country.
Others were overt in their manifestation of interest for the position of presidential aspirant of the APC. How did you make your own interest known or felt?
As an individual, I just hope that God will choose me. I do not discuss my interest with anybody.
Except?
But people will come to you and pronounce to you that, I think you will make a good president. I said, fine. Let God's will be done. And this is God's way.
The president had a dinner of presidential aspirants
He did.
In the earliest periods.
Yes.
In fact, several of them. And the people they were expecting in his house for that dinner did not include you. In fact, when you turned up, people were alarmed. How were you selected as one of those to attend a dinner of presidential hopefuls?
I don't think people were alarmed. They just saw that Samura Kamara was one of those invited for that dinner. But let me just tell you what happened. The first dinner, we all were there. As friends, we were joking. Nobody talked about presidential candidacy, okay? And then His Excellency usually could invite anybody. They did not tell us this was a dinner for presidential candidates. No, nobody knew. I was not told. I was just invited, said the president wants you to a dinner. I mean, that's a privilege, to be invited by the president for dinner. So I went, and I remember the scope introduced him as, listen, gentlemen, he's actually the president. And he said, no, introduce me as the chairman and leader of the All People's Congress, because this is a family meeting, EPC meeting. And straight away he addressed us. He said, well, ladies and gentlemen, I've invited you for this dinner. It's a family party meeting. And I know many of you will link it up to your candidacy, competition for presidential aspirants. And then I said, okay, if that being so, some of you have come out. You've shown your interest. Others have not shown their interest, but I know they are interested.
Were you part of the others he mentioned whom he suspected were interested but had not manifested
because he said so,
any interest?
Automatically, I fitted the mood. Yes.
You wanted to be president, but you were quiet about it.
Everybody has aspiration, but you must be able to manage your ambition and aspirations in life. To tell you the truth, I don't think you must be a president to be able to contribute to Sierra Leone effectively. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, I have contributed to Sierra Leone for many, many years without eyeing the seat of a presidency. And I've had a fulfilled career path. Now, when this came up, that's why I said I was very humbled and honored. So I'm going to accept it with humility and move on.
The president did suspect that you wouldn't mind being the flag bearer of the All People's Congress Party.
Well, in that case, I was not even alone. My running mate was also invited. Captain Patso was invited. Minka Lumasari was invited. The vice president was invited. The majority of us never actually came out. But it's left with the wisdom of His Excellency the President to look around and to say, okay, I'm going to invite all of those whom I think will fill the shoes. And that's why it's important for everybody to know that each one of us, the 28th, could have fitted this position.
You have flown
each one of us
with the president in and out of Sierra Leone.
Indeed.
On many occasions. He has had the time to observe you.
Yeah.
You have had the time to be very formal and to a great extent informal with each other.
As well, yeah.
Has he at any one time teased you?
Never, he has never. When the president and I travel, we talk about moving Sierra Leone forward, about policies. As Minister of Foreign Affairs, whenever we traveled, our discussions would border on foreign policy. because I have a responsibility to raise the voice of Sierra Leone, to enhance Sierra Leone's external legitimacy, representation, and credibility, and relevance. So whenever we travel, we talk about, we limit ourselves to the agenda that we're going to discuss. And then we talk about other global issues. And thereafter, we talk about Sierra Leone, some challenges that we are facing. But these are all policy related. It had nothing to do with successor, because for me, I did not find it even interesting to talk to him about his replacement. That was not my role.
Let us look at how he has treated you.
That was not my role.
During his presidency, and you're being minister in his government.
Yes.
He has maintained you close to the presidency. For instance, your positions have been Minister of Finance, very senior in the cabinet of the president, and Minister of Foreign Affairs. One, his chief moneyman, and two, his chief diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
One may say he held you sacred.
Well, it's probably he had that in his heart, but he never mentioned this to me. But I think I am grateful to His Excellency Earnest by Koroma for having given me opportunity to serve in these high positions, very envied positions. So I remain grateful to him, because what he did was to also expose me, to prepare me, perhaps for this job, if one can be retroactive.
If you are successful in the polls in March, you become Sierra Leone's foremost gentleman. That means you will be presiding over a country that has its economy on a downward spiral. You have been at the helm of the finance area of the country.
Yeah.
To what extent do you think, having been there and now moving further afield, in fact, into the apex, you will be able to stabilize Sierra Leone's financial situation?
I think it goes beyond stabilizing the present situation, because where we are now is that we're uphill, we're growing. We've recovered from a growth that was strongly positive in the high teens, and then it went down to -21, and then shortly after 2 years, now we started rising again. So we're on the rise. But I think one must honestly state that all the positions I've held have helped to transform me. Now, having been honored by this position, I can now reflect to see that throughout my life, beyond these three positions, I've always been at the sharp end of Sierra Leone's social, political, economic challenges in terms of policy prescriptions, policy execution.
Some people may say the economic boom that Sierra Leone continues to talk about during the period of this present government took place because of the great developments that took place, particularly in the extractive industry. That was why things went down when that area encountered difficulties. For instance, it was because of the great rise that took place in the mining and sale of iron ore that Sierra Leone started experiencing this huge climb in the economic sector, to the extent that when the price fell, Sierra Leone fell with it. And the emergence of Ebola did not help the situation. It only made it worse.
Yes, you speak like a very good practicing economist who understands the economy of Sierra Leone. That's the exact description. We've been running two-speed economies in this country. One that relies so much on agriculture, services, real estate, tourism. with a steady growth rate of not up to 10%, but predictable and steady at between 4 and 6%. You need, any economy needs that, okay? And then came 2010, 9 and 10, when I transferred, I was moved from the central bank as governor to the Ministry of Finance as Minister of Finance. It came the discovery of iron ore. And that lifted us up. So that's the mining economy. Now, this is what happens with extractive industries. You have a sharp boom and then you have a bust. It's a boom and bust situation. We enjoyed the boom the first 2 years before Ebola, when the economy rose up to something like 18–19% growth per annum, just simply because of the iron ore. Because the prices were high, supply was there. We had a taker, Shandong. Shandong was both an equity shareholder as well as the buyer of. So everything went straight, and there was a high demand in China.
The presidential flag bearer of the All People's Congress Party talks to SLBC.
When you go for a taught course, you fail the exams, you cannot progress.
You are the country's chief diplomat.
Yes. It takes the tough questions.
Do you see him as a former supervisor or boss?
Not even to the president, but to the entire nation.
Was he impressed?
Talks tough.
Do you think government is not any due diligence? It's the biggest international agenda item.
Turns expressive.
You see, you've now entered the realm of serious politics.
Looks into the future.
But as we secure this, we must also have the ambition to step up.
And stays poised.
If the economy grows rapidly, the income per capita will rise.
One-on-one with Dr. Samura Kamara on SLBC TV.